Hey, what's up guys? If you're a husband or a father or you hope to be one someday, then this community is for you. Because what I'm going to share will give you more meaning, purpose, and fulfillment than any military mission, career, or hobby ever could. So if you're someone like I used to be who struggles to understand what you're supposed to do with your life, then this video and message is for you. And whether you're an 18-year-old teenager or 80-year-old man, this applies to you. Not just that, but these truths transcend time and culture. And I really wish I would have figured this out much sooner. Bear in mind, I'm about to cover a lot of material, but if you can stick with me till the end, you'll be glad you did. As men, we are constantly searching for purpose and meaning. I mean, heck, there was an entire book written about this called Man's Search for Meaning. In the book, Frankl argues that finding meaning is man's deepest desire, and once found, he can survive anything. And for years, I searched in all of the wrong places for meaning. I joined the Marines right out of high school, and I absolutely loved it. I had always desired to serve my country, and so that's what I did. And if you were to ask me early on how long I was going to stay in the Marines, I would have probably told you my entire life. But at about the third or fourth year of my enlistment, I got married, and unbeknownst to me, that shifted my priorities much more than I realized at the time. And then when my wife and I had our first child, I made the very difficult decision not to re-enlist after my 5-year contract had ended. But after my honorable discharge from the Marines, I still felt a void. I felt like I needed a mission and a challenge. So I pursued other careers that I thought would satisfy this void. And I decided to use my GI Bill for college and picked two of the most challenging majors. I did several internships and then eventually graduated with my degrees in mechanical engineering and applied math. I even seriously considered going back in the military as an officer, but something didn't quite feel right about that decision and what it would do to my family. So instead of going in the military, I did what I thought was the next best thing, and I became a cop. Yes, I became a cop with a brand new engineering degree. And I continuously heard about how dumb that was all throughout my police training, and why I would want to be a cop when I could have any other job. It's because I wasn't looking for a job. I was looking for meaning. And just like being a Marine, I loved being a cop. I loved helping, and I loved serving people. And I also loved the camaraderie of a martial community. And let's be real, I love driving fast and the thrill of the job, because I'm also an adrenaline junkie. But as fulfilling as these jobs were, they still didn't satisfy that ultimate meaning I was searching for. And meanwhile, throughout each of these endeavors and each of these career changes, my family supported me as I dragged them along. It wasn't until years of searching that I realized my true calling, which happened to be right in front of me all along. I chose the name Defenders and Disciples because as a Christian man, I am called to protect and lead my family. You should also notice that the acronym for Defenders and Disciples spells out DAD. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a father in order to be a defender and disciple, but our core mission is teaching men how to live up to their role as protectors. If you're a man, you are called to be the protector, provider, and leader of your family.
I don't accept the responsibility.
It's not negotiable.
You are the only person responsible for your family's safety. Not the police, not the military, and not any other form of government. Not even your wife. You. And the truth is, women expect this whether they'll admit it or not.
How dare you?
And consider this, if you neglect your role as protector of your family or yourself, what you're essentially doing is relying on another man or possibly a woman to fulfill that role. Now, I can't think of a more emasculating mindset than relying on another man or woman to protect your family because you chose not to. If you're married, your wife consciously or subconsciously expects you to have both the ability and willingness to protect her and your children. And even if you're not married, every woman you date is evaluating you on whether or not you'd be a good protector of her and her future children. Women don't want to marry a man whom they feel cannot protect them and their children. And as blunt as this may sound, if you don't have the knowledge and ability to protect your family, then you're a less desirable husband. Even if you have a physical limitation or handicap, you are still responsible for putting systems in place to ensure your family is protected. This could include fortifying your home, training your wife, or setting up community support systems. Now, this is not to say that women are incapable of defending themselves or their children. Far from it. But husbands and fathers are uniquely called to take the lead in this role. As much as society tries to erase distinctions between men and women, the truth remains. Men are and always will be the primary protectors of society. This is why in emergencies, we save women and children first.
Women and children first.
It reflects the timeless expectation that men should lay down their lives to protect others. Being a defender is not about control or dominance. It's about servant leadership. And it's about creating an environment where your wife and children feel safe, secure, and loved. And being a defender isn't limited to firearms. In fact, Firearms represent a very small portion of what it means to be a defender. And contrary to what it may seem, this is not a gun channel. I discuss guns and gear because they can help you as a protector, and I enjoy shooting. So, what does it mean to be a defender? Do you understand home security and how to make your house a hard target? Do you know how to render aid, apply a tourniquet, and stop the bleeding? Do you have an emergency communication plan in place in case your family is separated and the cell network goes down? Do you lift weights, run, and train your body to remain physically fit so that you are a more capable protector? Do you have an emergency response plan in place so that you're not panicking with the rest of society? As the husband and father, all of these and more are your responsibilities. Knowing how to shoot, defend, prepare, and secure are more than just hobbies. Having these skills dictates whether or not you are capable of protecting your family. And no amount of excuses for being too busy with work or lack of interest in training is going to absolve you of a lifetime of guilt should you fail to take on the mantle of defender and your family suffers a loss as a result. If all of this is new to you, then I don't want you to think that you have to have it all figured out right now. Simply accepting the responsibility as protector of your family is a massive leap in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight, and just like many things in life, there's not going to be a point where you have made it. But over weeks, months, and years, you can decide to do the things you need to do to step into that role. But given all this, being a defender isn't enough. To truly protect your family, you need a strong moral foundation. And this is why I capitalize the A in our logo, because I want to emphasize the importance of not just being a defender, but also a disciple. And I've also included the Omega symbol, and when paired with the A, it refers to the Alpha and Omega, which is the God of the Bible. And then if you connect all the letters, they form a cross. And in case you haven't figured it out, Defenders and Disciples is Christ-centered. And there is no better moral framework than the Bible. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm in no way suggesting that we can earn our salvation. That was accomplished through Jesus' sacrifice. But it remains that Jesus offers us a perfect moral standard. And without a moral teacher, your efforts as a defender lack direction. But the Bible provides the foundation for truth. It reminds us that our role is not just to protect physically, but to lead spiritually, emotionally, and biblically. Because being a disciple also means equipping your family for spiritual warfare. It means teaching your children to understand how to think critically, knowing why they believe what they believe, and helping your wife grow in her faith as you grow in yours. It also includes taking responsibility for your children's education and not relegating that to the government. Because it's not the government's job to raise, educate, or protect your children. As a father, these are your responsibilities. And the call to discipleship is not just about personal growth. It's about sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ through our actions and our words. So I've also included the cross of St. Andrew in the logo, not because I believe in praying to the saints, but because Christians are called to take up our own cross and to follow Jesus. And to take up your cross in the first century didn't mean dealing with minor annoyances or symbolic burdens. It meant loving God and others so much that you'd be willing to die doing so. Not only are we as Christians called to take up our cross, but we are also called to love our wives as Christ loved the church, sacrificially, fully, and with all of our strength. A man who follows Christ sets an example for his family, albeit not a perfect one. And this brings us to the next part of being a disciple, and that is having humility. Humility to admit when you are wrong and to acknowledge your shortcomings and weaknesses, and to prioritize the truth over your own ego.
Nietzsche said that you could tell much about a man's character by how much truth he could tolerate.
This is not an exhaustive list, and there are many other facets of being a defender and disciple, but hopefully you get the point. The DAD logo embodies everything we stand for as defenders and disciples. It's a call to action for guys to rise up and step into their God-given role as men, husbands, and fathers. And as stated earlier, wives expect this of their husbands, and women look for this quality in the men they date. And their fathers are also looking for this in the man who will ask for their daughter's hand in marriage. Some may think that discussions about physical protection, preparedness, or self-defense are rooted in fear-mongering. Let me be clear, this isn't about creating unnecessary fear. It's about acknowledging reality. The world we live in is broken. Evil exists, crime exists, and threats exist. Ignoring these realities doesn't make them go away. It only makes us more vulnerable. There is a reason God created us with the ability to experience fear. It serves as a warning system, helping us recognize and respond to real dangers. Even the Bible acknowledges the utility of fear in wisdom and discernment. For instance, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. When we talk about preparedness or protection, we're not promoting paranoia or distrust in God's sovereignty. Instead, we're calling attention to our responsibility to take action when danger arises, just as God has called us to steward other areas of our lives. For instance, I trust God in my physical health, but I also eat healthy and work out. I trust God in my finances, but my wife and I also use a budget, we work, and we strive to spend wisely. And I also trust God to protect my family and me while also accepting my role as protector. So, if you're ready to embrace your role as protector, to take responsibility for your family's safety, and to grow in your walk with Christ, then this community is for you. And if you want more information on practical ways you can protect your family right now, then download our free home security guide by scanning this QR code or by clicking the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, train to a higher standard.